Welcome. I'm Cheryl Mitchell, the president of Tree Leven, which is a retreat and learning center on a sheep farm here in Addison County. And we have been thrilled to partner with Let's Grow Kids and also Building Bright Futures to bring you a series of shows about what's going on in supporting children and families in our community. So today I'm thrilled that Kerry from Unbound Grace and Sentinel Farms is here to talk with us. So welcome.
Thank
Kerry.
you so much, Cheryl, for having me.
Yeah, thanks for taking the
Really
time
appreciate
to come.
it.
There's so much we could talk about, but I think maybe we should start with you could just give us an overview of both Sentinel Farm and also the Unbound Grace program.
Okay. Well, Sentinel Farms is an active beef farm. It's a real farm. It's not a petting zoo. And we raise grass-fed and grass-finished beef and in a sustainable way, and with always growing our own skills and good stewardship. Now, the base of what we do there at the farm is based around youth programming, and though I work with adults in all ages as well. So the farm is an activity based every day. You're problem solving, you're learning new things, you're using tools possibly in new ways, and it keeps your brain active, and it's just a wonderful place for either adults who are looking for new ways to access their gifts and talents, and for children who maybe prefer to learn in a more active way.
Ooh. So when you're talking about children, what ages of children?
Well, let's see. Unbound Grace in Vermont started with offering 4 weeks of camps, and started by saying 7 to 17. But in that very first year, I had a 5-year-old who is now 13. And basically, it is any age that can follow direction and be able to learn in a consecutive way. You're working with horses, you're working with large animals. So for the youngsters, we do a little youngster and me interview in the beginning to just make sure that they're at the right age, or whether they should start maybe the following year. But it's amazing when kids are interested in learning. I've had 5-year-olds do beautifully, and even one time I had a 4-year-old who was so insistent on being part of it, did half days.
So it's a full day program? Is it overnight as well?
So that's
farm?
the summer program,
That's the
4
summer.
weeks. I also do after-school programs and one-on-one or special vacation camps as well. So the 4 weeks in the summer are a full week. They come in on Monday, and it's from 9 to 2:30, and then on Thursday we have a camp out under the stars, so you drop your children off at 9 on on Thursday, and you pick them up at 11:30 on Friday.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And are parents involved with this as well, or are you just working with the kids?
No, families, generally youngsters who become involved, I'm still involved with them many years later. Yeah. So they stay involved. It's more what I call a durable relationship, something that all of us need in our lives, but especially youngsters today. It's something that builds, and they know they grow in their skill level, and they grow in responsibility. So I sometimes have youngsters who have been there a number of years, and I may have a new 14 or 15-year-old come in, and the youngster is helping them learn, and the elder is also providing their skills as well. So it's mutual learning, integrative learning.
Yeah. And for your after-school program?
After-school program has been a variety of ways. We had a program through Robinson last year. That was a couple days a week. And kids can come and we do a variety of farm-type skills. One of the things I have found, I grew up in rural Vermont. I wasn't on a farm myself, but I was surrounded by farms, so I was on everybody else's farm. And thankfully, they welcomed me, and they gave me a variety of opportunities to learn skills like throwing hay bales and how to stack hay bales, and how to work hard all day, even though, the first bale seemed heavy, but somehow you got through the whole day, and you're very proud of yourself, and you also built health and strength. So I knew that that was important to me as a child, and so that was something I knew that I wanted to be able to offer in the future, and here we are in the future. And today, actually, youngsters don't have that opportunity. We have a lot of rural youth who are surrounded by farmland and have never had the opportunity to learn the gifts and talents and skills that a farm brings out of every one of us.
So many of us have heard about sort of the equestrian programs that teach kids a sense of competence. Is that part of what you're doing?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes. I have, the whole farm is set up. The beef farm started with 7 young baby heifers and in '09, and I have over 50 animals now, and that goes up and down with the harvest. The horses that are there are all one herd. They're basically interrelated, and so they operate as a family. So they're not like rented horses who come in for a season and then leave. Children will find that they are drawn to a particular horse, or an adult as well. And they develop a relationship. That again is a durable relationship. They come back over the years and ask, how's Diablo doing? How's Zara doing? And it is a non-conditional, unconditional relationship where there is communication going on at a much higher or a more deep level that just happens naturally. I always say horses are healing by nature. They are definitely a part of the program. I have been an active horse woman. I thankfully was introduced to it when I was 6 years old. And I'm an eventer, though I've also roped.
Eventing is jumping? Or?
Eventing is sort of like a triathlon of horse riding. You do dressage, cross-country jumping, and stadium jumping. But I also lived in Colorado for 15 years, so I got the opportunity to learn roping and the rodeo events as well.
So do you still do that personally?
I don't have the time right now. When I found this farm in '05, it had been neglected severely, and I've basically worked. I moved back here full time in '09 from Colorado, but it had been from '05 to '09 to make the place livable. So I really haven't had a day off since then. So it's been. Even now, I'm rebuilding the processing area. That's all falling down. So there is a thought that maybe sometime in the future I'll be able to compete again. It's something that I think the youngsters would definitely be able to benefit from, to be able to compete at a high level. There's a lot involved.
Yeah, I have friends who do various things with horses, and I know that it's very involved.
And just, youngsters, once they learn, often most of the people who come at any age, they come and they often have zero experience. But they know that they've always had an interest. And it seems that that is my favorite group to work with. And before you know it, they're handling, an 1,000-pound animal, even a child, in a very respectful and safe way, and recognizing that, this is not a wrench or a mountain bike or a motorcycle. This is another living being who is giving you the gift of their relationship. And it's an opportunity to build empathy and compassion as well.
Yeah. So you had mentioned the Robinson School, and you have a partnership with Robinson Turning Points and Department of Children and Families?
Well, this is the thing. We were provided an opportunity to submit a letter of intent to go after a grant to support the programming, because in the past I've just worked 3 jobs to make sure that the programming was available, because horses and learning the gifts of classical horsemanship has become increasingly set aside for people who are financially wealthy.
Yeah.
Let's just say it. So to provide that opportunity for all, I mean, it used to be in a farm agricultural, everybody knew how to handle a horse. It was only like 60, 70 years ago. Everybody knew, maybe they weren't riding, but they knew how to handle a horse on a farm. And I think we've forgotten how important that is to us. They have evolved with us over the thousands and thousands of years. It's because of the horse increasing our ability and strength that we are where we are today. And I think they've provided a lot more. They've connected us, rooted us.
So could you talk about maybe a typical afternoon? A child
Sure.
would come from the Robinson School. Do they get there on the bus? How did they get there?
Okay, so previously I've had children who were either dropped off or I'm right on the bus route, so they get off the bus right there, whether they're from Mount Abe or Robinson, and get off the bus. Some days, you have kids who show up and they're kind of starving. So we first start often with a little snack, a healthy snack, and then we get to work, whether it's working in the barn or starting some young stock and helping them learn some skills, because it's wonderful for youngsters to be working with young stock, because the analogy back and forth of saying, okay, so this is a baby, and they think they know everything, and babies in all species think they know everything. And they get a chuckle out of that. But when each of us can gain a little perspective on ourselves, we can put things into perspective and recognize that whatever difficulty we might be struggling with today, we just have to keep walking forward. Yeah, so they get off the bus, they'll work with me in the barn. Maybe we'll have to go fix some fence, it's possible. We may have to move some cattle. Or if a child is very interested in riding, I'll say, well, these are the chores that need to get done first.
Yeah.
And if we can get through that, we can get you on a horse too. So it is similar to the summer program in that my recognition is that riding a horse is wonderful and is a gift. But really the relationship is with the horse, whether you choose to get on it or not, is on the ground. Just even touching a horse and recognizing that you're communicating is something that kids learn so much about. That with all gestures, with everything that comes out of your mouth, with every smile or all of your energy is communicating something about you. And the horses pick up on it immediately, and you can pick up on it on a horse as well. And you bring that back into your home community or your school community, and you're just maybe a little bit more careful and gentle with how you present yourself.
Yeah. So would kids typically be coming every day after school, or once a week, or?
In the past, I had youngsters who wanted to be there every day. The thing is, I'm also running a farm, and
so you have young help, but it's young help,
but yeah, right. And so even though they'll be helping in some way, it's slowing me down. Recognize I've got work to do, but I so much enjoy spending the time with them that I had to limit it to like 3 days a week. And then right now, what I'm focusing on is building the community outreach and the community understanding of how simple and direct this programming is and how helpful it is for kids and adults of every age if they're struggling with something. I often have youngsters of every age who get referred to me after they've gone to a lot of other programs or approaches that just haven't been the quite right fit for them. And I have to say it's pretty universally successful.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned something earlier about, I think it's called activity-based plasticity.
Right.
So can you tell us a little bit more about what that is and
Absolutely.
how working on a farm and working with horses makes that happen?
So this is something that's just kind of come to light to me. I mean, I have known that working on the farm, and I have over 30 years of mental health background. So working with me, accomplishing tasks, learning how to use tools, is success, building success, a routine of success, of recognizing that you are a capable and purposeful being. And when you can hear those cognitive positive thoughts at the same time, that is basically how the programming works for all ages. And it's more about people having the time and the space to uncover what their own gifts and talents are and move forward, successfully. Now, I was invited to be part of the ADAP conference in being provided a table.
ADAP is the...
Oh my gosh, addictive, alcohol, drug, and
abuse prevention?
Yes, abuse prevention, sorry. You get so used to the little lingos. While I was there, Ira Chernoff was the doctor who was being the main presenter, and he was talking about brain damage that can happen for a variety of reasons, and how we can move around our brain damage by utilizing different parts of our brain. And we're being very successful with that with people who have had brain damage from like strokes.
Yeah.
So it's very clear, it's science-based, activity-dependent plasticity. So when you have brain damage, let's say, because we have a lot of history now on strokes, and you're having difficulty writing or speaking, you continually are doing something. What it is based upon is that your body is experiencing it. You're experiencing it as a whole person, and you're hearing it cognitively at the same time. And we've found that it is very successful. Now, we have youngsters or people of all ages who either have maybe some brain damage from any variety of reasons. Maybe maybe was born with a little bit of slowing in one particular area, but brilliant, but needs to have some assistance in communicating.
Yeah.
Now, on the farm, being able to have the activity plus the cognitive, they're all of a sudden finding that they are being successful in laying down long-term memory and then being able to build executive function, which is the higher level of planning and avoiding risky behavior, being able to see that, well, if I do this, that's not going to be maybe the best outcome. So the farm is our traditional living and working space since 60 years prior.
Yeah.
So it naturally, the learning spectrums, some people can sit still in a classroom and learn very well that way, but we're all on a spectrum. We all live on a spectrum, and some are not meant to learn that way. They need to really be active, and they can find all of a sudden that they're very successful in that sort of atmosphere where being stuck in a classroom is so frustrating for them that all it does is bring out some negativity.
So you had also mentioned this partnership also includes turning points, and is this is an effective approach for people who have addictions as well, or not?
It is. I've worked with people for many, many years who have a whole variety. You know, in my experience, addiction is addiction. Once you lay down a path, a routine that allows you access to the endorphins, it is a catch-22. You want to do it again and again. And so when you have moved in an area which is clearly something that is very negative behavior, whether it's opiates or tobacco or alcohol or whatever it happens to be, even pornography, whatever it happens to be, if you have the desire to change that and you're being given the opportunity to change those behaviors, you need to set down new routines. So when you're at the farm and you're being active with your body and you're having to engage your mind to learn all these new skills, it's amazing the number of people who don't have the opportunity to learn basic use of tools.
Yeah.
So to actually have gone to a fence, undone, whatever type of wire it is, retighten it, use all the different tools, and, after 5 hours of that, their brain has been somewhere else. what I have found, people who have addictive behaviors, if you can't keep their brain working in a productive way over here, it immediately goes back into that cycle. And that's the cycle you need to break. Right. And I've found people are very successful, probably a lot of tobacco. People have been very successful in getting off of tobacco, which we all know is so difficult to get off of, by being busy. Mm-hmm. You know what they say, idle hands. You know, idle hands.
Right. So, you and I knew each other years back.
Yes.
When you were doing mental health work. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about your journey to be doing this kind of life work that includes being a nurse, that includes having a master's degree in divinity. What can you just? We know that you started in rural Vermont.
I did. I started in Charlotte, and it's something. This path is something that I have seen since a little child. So it's something I've been working on, recognizing how to help. I would recognize what helped me was that I grew up in the woods. I was also involved in a lot of artwork, and I was involved with horses. So those are the things that helped direct me when, you know, we all have difficulties that we face in our lives. And those are our gifts as long as we are provided opportunities to recognize them, giving ourselves perspective. So I knew how important those things were to me, and I knew not everybody had the opportunity to be outside, to understand animals, to you know, understand how to get around in the woods, and work with horses. So it's been a goal of mine. So I went to nursing school at UVM. I was in the legislature, and I think I was health and welfare, and then appropriations. So thinking about problem solving and recognizing that I have this passion for other people, seeing other people's passion and gifts, and beauty, really. So I see that in everybody, and I like to help them see that in themselves. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes we get busy with the difficulties in our lives and we forget that we have so many gifts and talents of our own. And when we're given the opportunity to see our own gifts and talents, and then given an opportunity to share them, which that is what a gift is for, right? A gift is something that you're given that you are undeserving of. It's a simple gift. But the best way, I believe, to give thanks for our gifts is to share them with wanton abandon, you know, you know, the abundance.
Is that the unbound?
You know what? It's funny that that name came to me, and I was like, okay, thank you for that. But I believe it is. I believe it is. When we recognize our own grace and share it with wanton abandon, with complete abundance, it is prolific. It you know, the concept, I think, one of the things that we're struggling with now, I think, as a human race is we think in a concept of scarcity, that if we have something, if we have one program, well, we can't have another because they might be taking our funding, or we already have that. No, I mean, we need more health promoting programs. Yeah. The more, the better. And I think that when we flip from thinking about things in scarcity, that if I have something, I must hold on to it, and think more of in abundance, that when we share what we have, it's kind of the story of the loaves and fishes. You know, when you share what you have, there is always an overflow.
Right. Well, we're going to run out of time, which worries me. We never asked, where is Sentinel Farms?
Okay. Sentinel Farms is in Starksboro, just north of the little town of Starksboro, and it's right on 116. Wednesdays, just so you know, so listeners can know as well, we host a public feed, basically. Wednesdays from noon to 6, you can come on in and enjoy a barbecue beef sandwich or something else made with Sentinel Farms beef, and the funding from that helps support the programming, which again is the majority of youngsters involved. are in working families who don't have additional money to spend. So we do need assistance with scholarship and for the to allow that collaboration that we were talking about with Ken Schatz and Adora Frazier from Robinson and Bill Brim from Turning Point. All of those organizations recognize that Sentinel Farms provides an opportunity for some individuals to find a sense of peace, their own grace, and move on to healing and success. So we're trying to figure out a way, in a collaborative way, to make sure that the funding follows the people, so I can focus on working with the people instead of nickels, collecting nickels and dimes.
Yeah.
So.
So your contact information for viewers who are interested will come up in a minute.
Okay.
I guess the final question is, can people just call and say, I'd like to have my
Absolutely.
child involved? They don't need a referral or anything?
They don't need a referral. Actually, there is, I believe that there is funding now through Addison County Counseling Services that can follow individuals. So as they come, we can at least get some help in making sure the programming can continue.
Great. Well, Kerry, thank you so much for joining us today. To those of you that are watching, Kerry's information will come up in just a moment. And I also wanted to thank Dana Anderson, who's the producer of our show, and Kurt Broderson, who's the executive producer of Middlebury Community Television. And to say that if you have a nonprofit or you have a message that you would like to get out to the public, you should call the station because they are incredibly helpful. And we appreciate you watching today. Thank you.